Let's get into the advisory now. And with the end of financial year fast approaching, what should you be doing with your super? Rob Gilmour from Wealth Simplicity joins me. Hope I get a gold star. I've looked at co-contributions. What are we meant to be doing?
Well done, Juliet. Yeah, well, I guess one of the things to first be mindful of is just get started early. It is that time of year where we're getting to the end of May and just 30 June comes around very quickly. So we're having a lot of conversations with clients around getting money into super, particularly if they've sold an asset and they have spare funds. So looking to maximise contributions where you can claim a tax deduction. So there's the $30,000 cap that people are mostly aware of. Plus there's those other non-concessional caps where you can contribute up to $120,000, or even bring forward caps where you can contribute up to $360,000 in a year. So there's plenty of optionality around those caps. So getting an understanding of what you have available and what you put in at this time of year is always really important. In addition to some of those other things that might be going on around trust distributions, managing capital gains tax, and all those things that sort of come together towards a little bit of a checklist of things to get underway.
Yeah, and I guess there's also going back in time too, right? You can go back 5 years.
Yeah, look, correct. So, and I think the best source of data for a lot of this is to go into your ATO record and MyGov, and you can see just how many concessional caps that you can go back and utilise. And just to explain that for the viewers, it's the $30,000 cap applies every year, but if you haven't used that in the previous 5 years, there's that option to do catch-up concessional contributions, which can be particularly useful if you've sold a big asset and there's a lot of capital gains tax in a particular year. In addition to that, if you've got a self-managed super fund, there is what is called a reserving strategy, and you do have the ability to be able to bring forward the next year's $30,000 cap into the current year, and that's quite a thing that's specific to SMSFs, but that's also an option for some.
All right, and we're also then going to start the new financial year where the contributions go up slightly. Tell us about that, and also super on parental leave.
Yes, so two changes. Widely predicted the super guarantee going from 11.5% to 12%. I think most people will be cheering for that, potentially, except probably small business owners where they do need to be aware that that's an additional cost going to the bottom line. And yes, super will be paid on government parental leave. The other change that's coming in on 1 July is the lifetime superannuation cap goes from 1.9 million to 2, and that's just a regular indexing that happens. So that means that pensions can be started up to $2 million, but it also means your lifetime cap on superannuation is now $2 million.
If you're just in a regular super fund, not an SMSF, what's the difference between looking at offense or defense in terms of trying to get some of that higher growth strategy?
Yeah, I think this time of year when we're thinking about large contributions, and this could be, like I say, off the back of an asset sale, wanting to grow superannuation, and I think with some of the changes that have been talked about, particularly the $3 million tax on super, people have been apprehensive about using superannuation. So I think my first comment around that is superannuation is still the most tax effective form to invest for the long term and for generating retirement income. So try not to be too skeptical around the superannuation system when it comes to putting your contributions in. The other aspect of that is if you are putting large amounts in because of a particular event, there is some nervousness around where markets are at the moment. We obviously had a lot of volatility around Liberation Day. Markets have bounced back up. There's a lot of commentary around value. What I would sort of say around there, if you've got a self-managed super fund, you can control what you do with the money that goes in. Where you're putting it into a public offer fund, there are options to choose a more conservative option for your new contributions if you're a little bit nervous. So those caps are there. They're not always there. Sometimes if you don't use them, you lose them. There are ways to get the money into the fund and sort of manage the risk around that, and that will always depend on sort of where you are in terms of your journey around pre-retirement or in retirement and just your overall objectives.
And so just touching back on that Division 296 tax, are you seeing people then be quite wary about wanting to add to super?
Yes, and I think that is, in a lot of respects, it's not justified because that is such a long way away for them. What this commentary around this tax is doing is creating apprehension around super, and I think that's probably been overlooked. It's people losing confidence in the system, so I think that's a real negative around this tax. The tax itself has fundamental policy issues, which have been well documented, and the biggest one really is the tax on unrealised gains. And it looks like it's going to come in with the Green support, and there's obviously some uncertainty around how that will be traded. But to get that Green support, there is talk of dropping it to $2 million, or there's even talk of Greens potentially looking at getting rid of SMSF borrowing. But I think the real issue with this tax is taxing unrealised gains, which essentially is taxing money that taxpayers haven't even earned. And that is going to cause some real issues, well documented around a lot of farms, a lot of unlisted assets. They need to be valued. And what that valuation now means is well, that valuation on paper triggers a tax liability. So there's a whole lot of issues there if that taxation on unrealised gains goes through with this $3 million tax.